Oh, okay. Woo! Okay, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if we're rolling yet, but yes, we're taping. Okay. Welcome to Psychic Frank's Mystery School. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. What a blessing. What a blessing to be on Democracy TV here in San Francisco. Where to start? Where to start? I got things strewn all over, and now it's just sticking to it all. So let's get right to it. Thank you for inviting me into your crib. My goal is to give unselfishly of myself. If you noticed this past November, if you've been watching my shows, this is my 9th year. Things go in 9-year cycles. Yeah, these last 9 years, I've grown tremendously, and I hope you have too. And thanks for the support. It's been an amazing 9 years, and happy New Year, because it's a 20 numerology. It's 2018 is an 11 universal year. So we /2. You don't want to really reduce it to 2. You want to keep it elevated as 11. So you might want to type in 11 numerology, an 11 personal year, 11 universal year, and then we add that 2 to your day and month. Let's say like America, the United States of America, 4th of July. Just 7 and 4 is 11. 11 and 11 is 22. So this is, I'm going to do more research on that, but we're going to have the last word. It's going to happen. Things are paradigm changing. It's a great time to be alive. They say, may you be born in interesting times. Well, that's an understatement. Yeah, so here's the Mountain Astrologer. I didn't get the February, March yet, but it should be in this week's mail. I subscribe to it, but Emily Trinkus writes a good deal of this now. Oh yeah, I wanted, before we get to the Capricorn New Moon, I wanted to clear up about what's going on in San Francisco. Ed Lee, the mayor, suddenly died. We don't know what of yet. I guess I heard they were doing an autopsy. But I just wanted to clear the air about, for people who watch this on YouTube, who live in all over the country and the world, watch my show. I'm really happy for that. It's really humbling to know that I reach people in Mexico. I have fans of the show all over the place, and it blows my mind. Thank you for watching me on YouTube. What's going on? That's why I wanted to, not everybody lives in San Francisco, and I wanted to remind them that right now we're going to have in 5 months a debate, a new mayor race. In the meantime, we have London Breed as the acting mayor, and she got off to a really bad start in my humble, and due respect to all the people who were deceived into voting for her. She's definitely got off on the wrong foot with me, because she started off with a lie, saying that Ed Lee was the people's mayor. Now, you could say a lot of things about the departed Ed Lee, about changed the landscape of this city. This once, how innocent were we just a few years ago, and how different it would have been if Ed Gonzalez had gotten in, but that's another story. But anyway, it is what it is, and what the image I will eternally carry around with me of Ed Lee is when he went, Mayor Ed Lee, departed soul, when his face was on TV and he said in no uncertain terms, quote unquote, we're going to get rid of the homeless. That was his words. I'm getting rid of the homeless. Well, Ed Lee, the universe got rid of you, and the homeless are still homeless. And growing, and numbers are growing, and they're homeless because of Ed Lee. So for London Breed to just get on TV, and the first introduction to the San Francisco populace, because this was on local TV, I was waiting to turn on the weather, see what the weather was all about, and there she was, and I caught her saying Ed Lee was the people's mayor. And I go, rich people? It's not funny. I don't know why I laugh. I think I have a little bit of an erotic laugh. Now, there's a guy named Ace Washington, and I was at City Hall a few months ago, and he used his 3 minutes to really run down Miss Bree, and you know, and yeah, everybody says, well, he did this, this, and this. He dragged his feet. He dragged his feet. I remember last year. Election day had come and gone, and people had voted for this college thing to go on, you know, whatever it is now, how, you know, college, free college for whatever age in San Francisco, which is a wonderful thing, because we learn right to the end. That's why if you're old, learn, you know, never stop learning. That way you don't show up on the other side empty-handed. So I belong to Axis of Love, and I got a call. By the way, Denise Story shows on the 1st and the 3rd Thursdays at 6 o'clock right here. And Richard Rance is on at 5 on Wednesdays right here, the 2nd and the 4th. So anyway, I got an email saying we're meeting at City Hall with Danny Glover and Jane Kim. And I adore Jane Kim, and I adore Danny Glover. I think he's an amazing talent. Born and raised, and he talked, and they were all about forcing Ed Lee to fulfill what he was dragging his feet. They wanted him to get the college thing going, you know, and yeah, who knows how long that would have dragged on if it wasn't for Jane Kim. So I'm probably going to be in back of her. Oh, because I'm homosexual and I like Leno. You know, he's a nice guy. Either one, but I think as it stands now, I think I'll be supporting Jane Kim. So that's all I wanted to say politically there. And I got upset with the Richard Rance show because they were praising Ed Lee, and I was like, "Is this a parallel universe?" You know, no, he's a scourge. Just look at the landscape of this once beautiful. I know change and all that, but not like this. This was a rape, you know. This was a rape. But we're not gonna go on to that. May he rest in peace. I always give them 49 days to make the transition, and who knows what messages he might have from the other side. Yeah, I always tell people work on your character defects, patience, equanimity of mind, optimism. Remember, cynicism is intellectual treason. You know, that way you don't show up. And I like the fact that in San Francisco now, no matter what age you are, you can go to school. You can learn. A lot of times people will say, well, look, why does that old person have to go to get a high school, you know, diploma? They're 95. You know, that's so they don't show up empty-handed. You know, these are non-material gifts. And we have an acting president now who thinks that, he says, I love the illiterate. I love the uneducated. Yeah, that's his thing. I love the uneducated. So let's read a little bit about what's coming up on the Capricorn New Moon. We love new moons because we always get a chance to press the emotional reset button. And that's always good for me because I'm a full moon baby. And what's happening now, Saturn is freshly into Capricorn. So think back 30 years ago was the last time we had Saturn in Capricorn. So we have 2.5 years now. And this new moon has the Sun and Saturn very close. That means real punch. See, it says what Emily Trinkus is saying here in the Mountain Astrologer, January 16th, 6:17 p.m., the first new moon of 2018 features 6 planets in Capricorn. Wow, that's a serious... Saturn's all about seriousness, you know. But it loves you when you're older. If you're having a rough time with Saturn and you're older, it's because Saturn is taking you out of one playpen and putting you in a bigger, cushier, better playpen, and you refuse. You're hanging on to the old. And Saturn will, like, you know, hurt you. I'm not, you know, really, Saturn rules the bones. A lot of times people with stiffness, you know, arthritis, they don't want to change. That's what a stroke is all about, fearing change. That's why it's important to take the helm. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about being mindful. yeah, I really started something with, and I'm gonna follow through with it. So I have it right in front of me here. Okay, so this first new moon on the 16th, that's going to be January 16th, Tuesday. Uh, it says, as the last of the Earth signs, Saturn rules Sea Goat, Capricorn, the head of the goat, fish bodies, representing the conscious and the subconscious, is a powerful manifester and master builder. And so, with much potential for crystallizing, this is the start of crystallizing, bringing down to earth, making our dreams a reality, our intentions into form. We want to become conscious about what we're calling in. We might feel like we're standing at the crossroads under pressure to make the right decision, quote unquote. But when we commit to is less important than our motivation. You know, are we ruled by fear? You know, I came out in the beginning of November because several people I really cared a lot about died. People my age I knew from high school. And once again, these were people who could have really made me realize how I benefited. I was a lost, hopeless soul. As I said, I'm very out about my recovery. I'm nothing anonymous about. I'm anti-alcohol and pro-cannabis and have been for decades. That's why I'm with Access of Love. We're cannabis advocates and harm reduction. You know, I see that as a big field opening up. Yeah. So while there's hope, there's life, there's hope. So so that's why you learn as much as you can. Let's get back to this new moon and full moon, because we got two full moons, the beginning of the month and the end of the month. Beginning of the month, on the 1st, we had the super full moon in Cancer, and on the 31st, we have a lunar. Things lighten up. Things get a lot more playful in February. But in the meantime now, everything is on the small numbers are really emotionally sensitive. So now it's all about taking an inventory. You know, now in the first year out of rehab, as I said on my last show, when I was in my early 30s, I had this out-of-body experience. And when I came back, it was, I don't want to ho-hum it. It was like, whoa, I transcended. I know what Holy Terror is. Let's just put it that way. And so I remember, you know, the checking into St. Mary's. It was a $20,000 program, a 30-day live-in program, and I was so blessed, you know, because I drove my sponsors crazy, you know. And they gave unselfishly of themselves, and that's what I do. You know, I give unselfishly of myself. I don't know how not to. Everything I'm doing is so I realized I might as well just come out. And so I remember, like, when part of my aftercare was to go to all these meetings, and then every Friday we had group therapy for a year. And I really it was really a profession. It was really worth that 20,000 because it prepared me for a life of built on honesty, rigorous honesty. Because then I started studying Tibetan Buddhism and the Tibetan green Tara, Tibetan god is Tara, is all about, and I've taken initiations, very high initiations with Tibetan monks who are way over 100, and that's all about the one basic of enlightenment is rigorous honesty. It's the first building block. And here we are living in a world of BS. You know, it's, you know, with, I don't know what he's hooked on, but yeah, Donald Trump is, don't let this happen to you, huh? So we might as well just get to it. It's not, I don't want to gross anybody else, but this is a page I Xeroxed from this book called Awakening, the Buddha Within, by Lama Surya Surya Das. This was written in the early 70s when he was in a Tibetan jungle or monasteries in the isolation. And he says in this jungle, he said, and this is just one page, 299, written in the Tibetan language, used a magic marker to scrawl the following spontaneous words on a large paper towel. He tacked the paper towel on the outside of the wooden gate separating our enclosed forest cloister from the dirt road leading to the outside world. We were so inspired by it that we wrapped the paper in saran wrap to protect it from the elements and left it hanging there as a constant reminder to stay awake. So I know it's close to supper time. Well, Saturday night, Jeopardy just finished. You're probably watching me on Saturday night. And it says the mirror of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the root of the Dharma. Mindfulness is the body of practice. Mindfulness is the fortress of the mind. Lack of mindfulness will allow the negative forces to overcome you. See, that gloom and doom. A lot of people addicted to alcohol and drugs get that feeling of gloom, impending doom. And my sponsors are saying, yeah, hang on to that feeling, friend. That's what's going to save your butt, you know. Lack of mindfulness is the creator of evil deeds. Without mindfulness and presence of mind, nothing can be accomplished. Lack of mindfulness piles up poop. I'm not going to say the S word. Without mindfulness, you sleep in an ocean of urine. I don't know how else to say that, but they use the P word. Without mindfulness, you are like a heartless zombie, a walking corpse. That's President Trump. Our teacher wished to remind us that without the vital heart of awareness practice, mere form and ritual is meaningless. Without mindfulness, staying in a monastic retreat would accumulate few spiritual rewards. All we would have to show for our time would be piles of excrement. All of the hours of meditation would lose much of its deeper value unless we were mindful while doing it. Practicing mindful awareness is how we develop insight and self-realization. The same thing is true outside the monastery walls, whether we are meditating or washing our laundry, rolling your kid down the sidewalk in a carriage there. But now people have these appendagers sticking out of their ear, these little plastic things. The more fully engaged is simply doing what we are doing. The more awareness and insight we bring to bear upon it, the more we get done, spiritually speaking. So all these people are living these zombie-like lives thinking, well, I can convince themselves, BS themselves into thinking that, oh, I can multitask. No, you're not. You're hurting. You're doing irreversible damage to that infant, that child, that job, that client, whatever you're cooking. You know, just how more nutritious and how better everything tastes when you take the time to just concentrate and, you know, I hate to use the cliche Zen, but be one with it, you know. So I'm going to tell you what mindful, I always thrown around this word mindful, and the other morning I was reading this and I said, duh, Frank, I think you should lay this on the people who are, you can't like leave them hanging there, as we used to say when I was young. It says our bodies have limited, I'll zip through this real fast, but the last paragraph, it's only 3 or 4 paragraphs, but the last one is a few sentences that'll blow you away, so bear with me here, it's worth it. It goes, our bodies have limited shelf lives, semicolon, they are impermanent and changeable. This is not religious dogma, this is just how it is. Being ephemeral, our bodies are ultimately dissatisfying. Who can last getting fulfillment from a mere body, from sensual experiences? Question mark. Even the most exquisite body experiences are fleeting and ephemeral, leaving us thirsting for more. We're going to get into that. Our feelings are certainly ephemeral. So are our perceptions, ditto our intentions. States of consciousness change all the time. In fact, we are all works in progress. That's why I always tell people marriage is a verb. It's not a noun. You got to constantly work and you grow together. You know, it's a wonderful path when it's right. It's not... It is, like it or not, we are never the same. Remember the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who said you can't step into the same river twice. That was said hundreds of thousands of years ago. Each of us is like a river whose waters are forever changing. That's why when you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, you know, be grateful to be alive. Your eyes are the window to the soul. Tell yourself, you're beautiful, I love you. Whatever shape you're in, you're alive, you're beautiful, there's hope. Without hope, why live? No matter what you hope for, but just hope for something. You know, hope is essential. Hope isn't a bad thing. Without hope, I mean, why live? You know, not that we're not satisfied with where we are, but, you know, we came in, there were spiritual beings having a human experience. So then it says, Heracles, I think, therefore I am, but Buddhism points that you are not what you think. You are like the weather. What you think is unpredictable and subject to change. Because of this, the untrained mind is also essentially unreliable. Your thoughts and feelings lack permanence. This is the fact of conditioned consciousness, conventional existence. Moreover, who and what you are when you are not thinking. Yeah, it says, who and what are you when you are not thinking? That's a question you don't ask yourself. When you're not, in those brief moments in between thoughts, when you're not thinking, who are you then? I'm going to tell you the next paragraph. I tell you, this is mind-blowing stuff. This is page 82 of The Awakening the Buddha Within. I won't tease you anymore, okay. Do we intentionally cease to exist? On the other hand, your innate, ineffable, I mean, there's no words to describe, your Buddha nature is not impermanent. Semicolon. It is not subject to change. This inner light is unbound, untrammeled, is immaculate. Your Buddha nature, your Christ nature, roll away the stone. And that's what Saturn's saying now, you know. Take pride, take your responsibility seriously. We make choices and we live with those choices. We say goodbye to some dreams, we say hello to other dreams. But most people are walking around with this bug up their butt. Now, how many people I've told that to and then they hang up on me? That's why I'm on cable access and not on network TV, I guess, at least right now. Okay, it can be relied on. It can be depended on. It is perfect, inherently wise and warm, free and complete from the beginningless beginning. Actualizing that luminous, formless, and intangible core is what awakening is all about. So when I say be mindful of, by the awesomeness, I mean, because, you know, I'm a Edward Gorey fan. He's, I think he's gone now, but he lived a very long life. He had this very macabre sense of humor and had these, he drew these very Victorian sketches, etchings. And it's the alphabet, and he goes, M is for Mary, who was washed out at sea, and there's Mary being washed off a boat. And N is for Neville, who died of ennui. It's a state of, and it's this fat kid with big jewels on his hands eating a plum pudding pie or something, you know. It's having everything and being bored with it, you know. I think that's what Donald Trump did. He was just so, a lot of the rich, like I think I'm not convinced they all get in it for public service, you know. So that's why this guy says in this thing, you know, what we're doing at the time. Like I'm on my hands and knees taking birdseed out of this carpet I found years ago, a couple of years ago, and it's a chore, you know, and because I have birds, you know, I have a parrot, and everything ends up on the floor, and I just get into it, you know, take a little toke, and you know, and I laugh, you know, because then Gabby thinks my parrot thinks it's a game. Anyway, so I just wanted to lay that on you. This book you can get at the public library, or just Google it up, you know. And you know, okay. I wanted to talk about Robert Mueller now. We don't know the time of his birth, but I could tell you he's got Saturn in opposition to his Saturn, Neptune's full speed ahead in opposition to his Mercury. So the man is just starting. It's going to really hit the fan over the, yeah. I think once it gets started, we're in for the show. This is like the best Columbo on steroids or something, you know. I picture him, Donald Trump, and his family being taken out of the White House like someone off a United Airlines flight. Yeah, I'm looking at Donald Trump's chart now. So all this Saturn and Capricorn energy is in his fun house. Oh yeah, he's not having any fun. This actually started when he started running. Yeah, in 2016 there. 2016 is when Saturn was on his moon. Actually, 2017. Yeah, just around the time he threw his hat in his comb over in the wing. That's when he had Saturn on his moon. He was, yeah, people say with Saturn in their fifth house, they don't have any fun for 2.5 years. And right now, Saturn's in opposition to his Mercury. So interesting how him and Mueller are closely 46, 44. So we know the time of Donald Trump's. Mike Pence, what's going on with Pence here? So Donald Trump's in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, June 14th. 14 is 5, 5 and 6 is 11. So 2018 is 11. So everybody bring black and white and salmon pink into your life. And for Donald Trump, this is a 22 year. This is a master year for him. I'm looking at where's this, what's going on with all this Capricorn energy. Yeah, that's it. Capricorn, Saturn and Capricorn, all this. Yeah, he's going to have Saturn in opposition to his Saturn. That's where, that's where you have to explain. That's when you have to have your dots dotted and your T's exquisitely crossed. Oh, yeah. I think right now Bob Mueller has got enough to put a normal person away for 5 lifetimes, but I think what's happening is they gotta, because he is the president. I don't know how that happened. We had got really electoral college there. Yeah, believe in yourself and all that you are, knowing your Buddha self there, knowing that there's something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. Yeah, I wanted to get that London breed thing out of the way because, really, if you want to, help out, you could start off by being honest and don't deceive. Don't start off your first connection like she's our own alternative facts person, Ed Lee. I mean, I've heard some ridiculous things, but how she could get on there with a straight face. I heard the story, and I can't remember. I remember the story, but I can't remember the famous person who was repeating the story. But it was about someone I really admire and aspire to be. And it was like, anyway, this great person told this person when they were a kid, they did something. And they told a lie, and their father really, really gave them a severe punishment. And it was years later when the old man was dying, was older and close to death, and the kid was all grown up, and they were talking about that, and the father said, it wasn't that you lied, it was that you were so good at it. And that's what scared me. And I knew unless I really taught you that lying was a bad thing. Yeah, so rigorous honesty, it's rough. People like you to dance around their wounds. A lot of time, it's the new year, and I tell people, and I'll tell people right now, take a good long look at your life, and if you want it to be the same for the next year and the year after that and the year after that, then keep on what you're doing. But if you want to, say, get rid of that impending gloom, that impending doom that most addicts have, what am I addicted to? I've been smoking cannabis for a long time, off and on, and I don't have any impending doom. I know alcohol for me is, and I talked to my sponsors about it years ago, there's nothing in any of the literature that says cannabis is a flower, as Willie Nelson reminds us. It's all it is an herb and a flower. It's not a drug. It's a psychedelic. But then again, so is chocolate cake for me, I get high on life, I hallucinate on everything. I see angels in the architecture, but that's another story. That's another story. Okay, so circle your calendar, because then for the January 16th, and then take an inventory. I remember when I was forced to go to meetings, and then afterwards, I would tell people stuff, and they go, "Don't take our inventory." That was a big slap in the face. Man, I don't need you taking my inventory. But take an inventory, where am I, look yourself in the mirror and say, where am I BSing myself, if it wasn't for, why am I staying in this horrible abusive job, relationship, fill in the blank? Why can't I do something about this disgusting, filthy habit of smoking tobacco? It's suicide, let's call overeating what it is, gluttony, there's this thing about, our goal for healthcare is, a healthcare symptom should be one on peace of mind. That's why, and right now, boy, who's got peace of mind? This madman. True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. Well, that's like Martian talk to someone as sick as. No, there was something I brought here, and then we're going to get. Don't worry, we got plenty of time. All you have been waiting for is for your own permission. Okay, that's not it. Here we go. Oh yeah, I saw this about Sharia law. Law of Islam is being legislated here in America. Here are some of the tenets of Sharia law. Government based on religious doctrines. Women have fewer rights than men. Homosexuality is outlawed. Rejecting science in favor of religious doctrine. No separation between church and state. Religion taught in school. Abortion is illegal. That's just some of that. But now, as I said, the Republicans are putting party over country. Yeah, mayhem. We've got a president we should call Mayhem. Know those commercials for Mayhem? The guy who says, "Hi, I'm Mayhem." Yeah, he's been destroying. He's right now opening up our national parks to drilling, and he's mayhem. Everything the man touches gets destroyed. He came in, he ran on being destroyed, destroying our democracy, and he's fulfilling that. But I do not think it's taking a long time, and we live in an instant gratification society. So it's important now to help Mueller along by telling people, stop that. Cynicism is intellectual treason. Yeah, people think themselves as complicated when they're just lazy. That dawned on me the other day. Was when I was reading that thing about the mindfulness. Without mindfulness, you will be swept away by laziness. I know so many people are lazy. It's much easier to, just complain about everything than get up and just do something, I'm not saying it's easy, but that's why we're here, because most people aren't prepared. I know several people now in their 80s, and I've known people, lived, a lot of people live into their late 90s and have people, like Andrew Wild says, he coined the term rapid morbidity, where you have a nice healthy life, and then you get sick and die. It happens within a few weeks or a few months, like someone with that. Like his mother, Andrew Wild talks about his mother, uses her as a case study. She had started traveling in her 80s, and then every year she took these amazing trips. He would sponsor her, and like a good son. And then she was planning in her early 90s a trip to Antarctica, and when all of a sudden she developed heart trouble, kidney trouble. She never had any of these things. And then a few months later, she was gone. Rapid morbidity, you live life. But always, as long as you can, and even as your way out, it's that's why Tibetan Buddhism. I think Scorpios are always, I was blessed to be born as Scorpio. we have a bad rap. There's three. The Scorpio goes around stinging. Then there's transforms to the gray lizard. Then there's the Phoenix, and hopefully I'm Phoenixy. I'm in my Phoenix phase. My Phoenix phase. Yeah, to believe in magic, get away from the best computer is still linear thinking. Even with the angels, you know, there's computer angels. I believe, like Dr. Larry Dossey and computer angels. I've had, you know, I have spiritual experiences all day long. And there's not one moment of any day I'm not spiritually connected. I do have those moments though, and I'll be watching the news to see if we're at war yet, and I'll get a moment of gloom or doom, and then I just shake it off. You know, it's a good training. It's a good training. If you could walk in this, with things are, things are more like they are now than they ever have been before. I think Gerald Ford said that, but I think it goes back to Eisenhower. I think anything Ford said sounded goofy. I'm looking at Robert Mueller's chart. We don't know the time of his birth, so we don't know his ascendant, but he's got a whole cluster of planets in Virgo and Leo. He was made to be the boss, applesauce. And then we have Putin now. Putin's having a very good year. Jupiter's on his Venus in the first house. It's like, I'm sure he has an astrologer. I think they work with psychics. He was probably told this was, he's a more believer in astrology, I believe, now than ever before. Oh yeah, Europeans, even the Ukraine, most people, only America is very uptight about astrology and all this metaphysics. I was reading a Shirley MacLaine book the other day I found in one of my shelves. I'm a big Shirley fan, have been for decades, and I got to meet her once, and it was a thrill. And she has definitely believes in extraterrestrials, and I spent time. I think anybody who in South Central America is, something they've rarely. The closer we get to the equator, it seems, the more. Everyday common sense, yeah, the higher up, like Peru, they actually, Shirley says there's a picture of signs that say UFOs crossing, be careful, or something like that. And I've had many, oh yeah, and they say, I believe, I read something Shirley said the other day about they're closer to God, and I believe that. Yeah, from what I understand from Norma Tringali, bless her soul, my mystery school teacher, we're far, far away from where it's happening. So even, God forbid, we and not our crave for extinction takes over, we're still not going to hurt anything. We're just one in like zillions of galaxies. Excuse me, I got a scratch on my back. Didn't mean to be rude. I love this tree going on in back of me. I'm a real big tree hugger. So just like next time you're waiting for a bus, or just see a tree you like walking around, put down your bag or whatever, put down your device, and get grounded. Like, put your arms around the tree, drop your grounding cord, surround yourself with the love and light of the Holy Spirit, and dig yourself. Dig where you're at. You're on this rock hurling through the cosmos. We're here in Earth School. We're on a scholarship, and most people just have the illusion that we're here to destroy this planet. Eat all the fish, kill all the animals, and kill this, I don't know, I don't understand it. Life's a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. Okay, so let's get to the 30 super moon, another one. So the moon is the very closest to the Earth, 11 degrees Leo. And let's see what Trinkus says about this in the Mountain Astrologer. So it's time to take a good personal inventory of this new moon and say, you know, if I was sure I wouldn't fail, what is it I'd be doing right now? What would I be putting all my energy into, no matter what age you are? Look at Grandma Moses, didn't pick up a paintbrush until she was way in her late 70s, or was it even early 80s? And then for like 10 years there, whatever, she lived I think close to 100 or something. Um, I'm loose and free with the facts, but it's the essence that you need to know. Yeah, it says the moon coming up in Leo conjuncts the North Node in Leo on January 31st. Here in California on the West Coast, it's 5:26 in the morning. So when we go to bed Tuesday night, um, on January 30th. Program yourself. Open up. Your psychic senses are wide open, and yeah, just as long as you use your throat chakra, what you say goes. When you say, "I am surrounded by the Christo Ray, the Christ energy," I'm surrounded by the love and light of the Holy Spirit, the Blessed Mother there. The moon is conjunct the Leo North Node. See, the North Node is the dragon's head, the way out. The dragon's tail is a trap. That's redundant. You don't want that. And actually, America's North Node is 6 degrees Leo. And this new moon will be 14 degrees, sun and moon, 11 degrees. The North Node will be 14, Leo. So all this Leo energy is hovering around our 8th house. See, that's the big mistake. If we look back, if America looks back, and that's what they're trying to do, they're trying to roll back time. It's impossible. Time will roll over you. Like Ed Lee, I'll always remember him as our man who just died, where he said, I will get rid of the homeless. And he didn't say that like, I pictured like tanks going down Market Street or down Mission Street rolling over. I was walking down Mission Street the other day coming home from Rainbow Grocery, and I smelled something, it was very sanitary-ish. But it wasn't like a street cleaning thing. It was a different setup. It was a more a vehicle, but more shower-like. And then I realized it was a portable shower where homeless people can walk, get cleaned up. And I would like to see more of them. I want to see more of them. It's how could anybody at City Hall just walk by and not even with any iota of power and look in a camera and say I think Jane Kim is the only one who showed. I know I've spoken to her. I know I've seen her in action. Yeah, she's her heart's in the right place. I hope she doesn't pay the price for the bad taste in San Francisco's mouth that Ed Lee left, because many people, when I worked the phone, referred to it, nothing racist, but they refused to vote for Jane Kim because they call it more of the Asian invasion. I heard that a lot, and so did all of my friends who worked the phones. And but I think Jane Kim is the one. Not only is she exquisitely beautiful, but she's equally bright, and her heart's in the right place. And I think we do good to have Jane Kim as a mayor. And it says the moon is also precisely conjunct Earth, bringing opportunities for healing our mother wounds. The ozone hole in the ozone's closing. Everybody's talking about, I don't have any stock, but everybody's saying the stock market's up, industry. Yeah, but all these industries now are earth hurting, climate change producing. But I think because of the Paris climate change agreement and all of most of the world except for America and Thailand, I think there's only 2 countries, and we're one of them, who are winding up. Instead of getting away from fossil fuel, we're, as I said, the mayhem man from Mayhem is here. Yeah, it says. Leo is the divine child in all of us who wants to be adored, appreciated, and celebrated just for our very existence. Yeah, so retrograde Ceres conjunct this eclipse full moon can trigger the grief of not having received that ideal imprint of unconditional love as children. Well, that's an understatement. I've been BS'd all my life. I just realized that the other day I had a DNA test done, and I was taught, and I was totally from the gate lied to. They said nobody likes me, everybody's jiving me, but my mother, she might be jiving me too. Yeah, I don't know. Life is full of interesting. Life is wonderful. There's just no two ways about it. But there are There are a lot of people who it's hard to see the world as wonderful when you have no place to sleep, when you've totally been misplaced and not even considered human. And a lot of these guys are vets. I don't think any of them are going to sober up, but they can die better. They could at least be, cleaned up, or they could. I had a vision today of there's so many talented people young people who are not like money making Googleites, but are actually trained in social workers, people who are trained professionals who, know how to talk to people and, talk them down, talk them into maybe, getting cleaned up. You could get an army of people, young professional caregivers who could go around the streets one by one. Like Mother Teresa, I love the story when she would go to Calcutta. She was in Calcutta, and the infants were starving of malnutrition, and they were so sick, and there was no intravenous's or anything, and they would rub soft tofu onto the skin until their bodies would absorb the nourishment. And Mother Teresa would tell the story, and she would say, and she couldn't heal all the starving, dying infants, but that one she would. Like this guy saying, bring your mindfulness into whatever you're doing, and treat that. And when you raise your consciousness by being more grounded, more accustomed, realizing, life's tough, and then you die. This is Earth. That says it all. Earth. It's a dense planet. We have the potential for highest Christ consciousness. We also have the potential for Donald Trump and other tyrants, despots. But life is wonderful. So as I said, there are people who understand that pharmaceuticals are not the way. How many people, if they were given a bag of cannabis, would I see so many people, whenever I can, I give joints away. I don't have that many, but whenever I do. Or sometimes I'll be waiting for a bus and I'll be lighting up, and then I'll just give the roach to somebody. But I always, or whatever change I have, it's not what I have. It's like, if I won a lottery, I just open up a mystery school / cannabis club, dispensary, people's cannabis club. But obviously it's not time for that, but somebody could be doing that. Anyway, last time I was here, I talked about the healers, and I talked about this American Indian healer named Bear, Sun Bear, and I talked about how he talked about the spiritual standpoint. Most common blocks to health are negative attitudes. Like, choose to be happy. What does it take to say, I'm going to be happy today? I'm going to roll up my sleeve and get that bug out of my butt. I'm not going to keep on blaming my kids for a mistake. They're not a mistake. I didn't plan, whatever, Take responsibility for your life. Don't go around blaming, or you got on the phone, who's Zooming who? Remember Aretha Franklin, who's Zooming who? It's none of your business. Your business is what's in your face right now. That's why when you start your day, every day brings unexpected, wonderful surprises. And then he talks about one method I have successfully used to do this. I believe all genuine healing addresses the problem of unblocking negatives in one way or another. Then Sun Bear says, one method I have used successfully to do this is to have people go outdoors, find a place in the earth and dig a hole. Then they speak into this hole all the things that are bothering them in their lives. If they feel uptight about something concerning their mate or something else, they have had rage bottled up for a long time. They have had expressed grief, unexpressed grief or dread, all this gets dumped into that hole. Thus they give their negativity to the earth. After the negative attitudes, emotions have been eliminated, they have to be replaced by positive ones. If a healer can create in a person a sense of well-being, a sense that life is good for me after all, that person will be on the road to recovery. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people, but the last thing they saw as they left this planet was Psychic Frank, and they died with a smile on their face. Well, a lot of them didn't have faces you could see because they were like tubes everywhere. But as I said, I believe, as I said, it just came to my consciousness this past November. As I said, all these deaths will pick you up, spin you around, and drop you down deeper in your own life. And there was one case where I realized, wow, if I was so impressed with this person's position in life. And I've always been impressed with bright people, you know, because I realize I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I've often said to my creator, you know, one mind, Jah will there, you know, how come you made me so, gave me all these gifts, but yet I'm so slow to figure out so many other things? And the answer was, that's exactly why, because if you were smart enough to figure that out, you wouldn't be what we could use. So, it's impossible what's going on, but it's not the end. It's a healing crisis. It's a psychotic episode that's going to get us to a better place, and limit your cell phone use. Apple and all these places, Facebook. I'm so happy to be Facebook free. I hope I can remain that way. Because people try to talk me into getting a Facebook for the mystery school, but we'll see where that goes. But for the most part, be kind to each other, be conscious. I imagine that addictions to all these devices is pretty much like a drug, and maybe if you stop, you die. So maybe taper off. You know, I'm a big one for winding down, but just be more conscious now that these people are selling a product and they're using your mind. Oh yeah, let me pick a quick card for you. Oh, okay, the wind's going our way, right next to the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, we got new beginnings in August for the United States of America, and I believe things are going to be happening very fast. I love you. I'll be back here on the 25th. Thank you.